Welcome to the February 26th bhyve production user call. We have Andrew, Ed, Philip, Hans, Daniel, Anjanik, and myself, Michael, so far. And a huge thank you to Alexei and Ruben. Hopefully, Alexei will roll in. A week ago, Rob Norris said, hey, I could use this really new platform to test some code, SHA-512 EXT for OpenZFS. But very few people have that system. And Alexei happened to know that Ruben had one. Ruben said, yeah, I can help, but I don't have much time. Rob made it real easy for him to test something, I believe, in a VM, and the code got tested on real hardware and should be in the next release of OpenZFS. Rob only had a simulator and Go team that was like less than a week to get that coordinated and validated. Yay! There was a great philosophical and technical discussion yesterday, kicked off by Rob, same Rob, about what is a ZFS mount point. And well, we each have a gut reaction, and the manual page says stuff, but in an era when you can stack, a dozen Docker slash container slash jail mounts and multiple mounts of the same source and destination on top of something, what should ZFS do when you unmount a file system? Because typically, well, it does assume you have one thing mounted. So uh, we discussed many of the scenarios people are hitting, and we really don't want to solve one of them and maybe create three other problems in the process. So this whole notion needs to get a bit multidimensional. Check out the document, check out the recording. It was very cool. Public service announcement. Colin Percival is wondering if anyone spun up a bhyve VM or even other hypervisors with more than 256 vCPUs. Sounds like you, Anjanik, have done up to 240.
Mhm.
I honestly don't know the hard limit if we have one. Go ahead.
Again, on the old version of bhyve, it was set to 16 as a
Yeah, of
hardcode
course.
number.
Yep.
That one is still true in Illumos. I tried it a couple of days ago.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, the patch is very simple. Maybe I can do that. I'll try to do that. More importantly, we have done with 240 on a single VM.
Hmm.
Hopefully next month I can try it with more than that because we're getting a 512 core system, so I can try up to,
Yes,
let's say,
please.
500. Also, we have tried other things like Hyper-V as an experiment. We couldn't do the testing because of licensing issues, so that's a story for another day. ESXi has a hardcore limit on number of cores on a single socket. In our case, that was 60. Sorry, was it with the threads or without the threads? Was it? It was either 64 or 128. I'm not sure. But with QEMU, it was indeed the number of cores on a single socket. So it was 64, right? Because we have 64 times 2 times 2, dual socket, 64 core, 128 threads. So with QEMU, it was 64. Now, maybe I did something wrong with QEMU. My QEMU foo is not that well. I can try that again with the new system. I'll just boot up all of the hypervisors and see what we can get, but we haven't gotten anything as good as bhyve probably in a very long time. So
Can we just spin up a VM fizz count? Yeah, Ed, I did try a super high virtual count above physical count. It just threw an error on topology. But yes, in response to Colin's question, I just did a quick and dirty, well, let's see, throw a number at it, and it wasn't happy until I hit the physical count at least, maximum. Anyway, thank you, Antranig. I look forward to that day at the races with the new system. Hans has reported that VirtIO SCSI reviews are getting reviewed. Go team, and he is working away on your foundation-funded vCPU work, CPU ID work rather. Anything to add to that, Hans? I'll just say go team. A colleague pointed out that Hazem made a blog post about the awesomeness of the FreeBSD Linux compatibility. This came up recently with, say, libc, musil libc compatibility, and a few parameters that aren't supported. And luckily, there were some reviews to those. And feel free to investigate that. But here is Hazem's post.
oh, sorry, Michael,
Yes,
one more,
please.
because I was just going over my notes. Memory limit is also another topic when it comes to hypervisors, right? Because we were able to boot a 2 TB host with 1.8 terabytes of VRAM. So we on Linux we couldn't do it more than 1 TB, which is that is a hardcore limit.
Hard-coded.
Hard-coded limit, hardcore limit. That's a
That's a
very,
very
very
different thing.
funny typo. Yes. Uh, so yeah, that's I haven't tested it with bhyve, sorry, with Hyper-V again for reasons, and with ES6i, it was just not interesting at that point to play more with it. So
Sure.
according to my notes, apparently I just got sad and moved immediately to Cameo.
And how far did you get
Uh,
with bhyve? 2 TB?
on a 2 TB system, we got up to 1.8.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it does some kind of like a percentage calculation because after that it was like no available memory, So I'm like, okay, I don't know how you're calculating the memory, but apparently that there is some kind of memory calculation over there.
Yeah, and I can see how a little sloppy calculation for a small system would, I don't know, recursively be unhelpful on a larger system.
Yeah,
So got
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Uh, done by calculation. Okay, cool. Let's investigate that. So let's just punch through these. From recent jail talks, there were a few things on the new bridge behavior and documentation. I think in the jail docs, we have some help from Jan on how to make that work. Uh, Antranik, I think you never had a chance to really elaborate on this one, which was someone using Jailer, if I'm not mistaken. Is that accurate? And they're a GSOC student?
Yes, yes.
And
Apparently, they also use Jailer as it's supposed to be used with the DHCP and bridge helpers. Uh,
Rod.
We also added Netgraph Buddy helpers. It's still in development branch, but I'll merge those soon as well.
Cool.
Yeah, but thank you, whoever found it and used it. That's awesome.
Okay, I will add Rod to the list. Rod, do you have any topics? We're just running through a bunch. You can see them on the doc.
No, I
Okay,
don't.
cool. G. Okay, so yeah, check out this article. It's like Jailer in the wild. It's Netgraph Buddy in the wild. I'm sure they're a nice developer, whoever that masked person is, which is Daniel on the call
There it
here.
is.
Yeah, hey, Jailer and NG Buddy in the wild from a GSOC student. Okay, so I just want to get all of that SDUD out of the way. So Daniel, you had some questions about vm-bhyve and Cloud init, and to that point, I have a question to throw in early, and you can address it whenever, which is, can Cloud init indeed use external sources like an attached ISO so you don't mess with the original ISO or image you're trying to configure? So, what are your questions, Daniel? Oh, and welcome,
Yeah,
Jason.
so I know that I know that version 1.5 came out and it had, a lot of great features, netgraph support and all that stuff. I see they're at 1.7 and I think we've discussed this before. It's in the FreeBSD GitHub repository now. So I guess that's under new stewardship, including Antranik here. Who's yeah, so Yeah, I guess I was just curious what new features were there. I know that I dug into the code a couple months ago and I saw they fixed a problem where if you have multiple keys that you're trying to import into a cloud in an image, it would not work. It wouldn't import them correctly. So I think that's been fixed. And I was just curious what other cool features have been added there. If I missed anything, I'm digging through the fresh reports as we talk.
So, Anjane, have you looked at it lately?
Um, So yes, I haven't used it though. We also at the lab did a patch of vm-bhyve for, I'm just going through my notes here, for improved CPU pinning, which that also ended up being a patch to the upstream, aka bhyve itself. And
Nice.
also VNC in FreeBSD's bhyve does support password authentication. However, there was no specific field to it. I mean, you just need to do string concatenation in the end. So we also patched that. It's good for security, although we did not do it for security. We did it because Mac OS's VNC viewer requires using a password. Otherwise, it doesn't connect. It's like empty password. No, you have to put in a password. So I'm keeping VNC viewer, the software, only for that, right?
Yeah, it's
We also
better than
patched that.
nothing.
Yeah. I also patched that. I think our team also added a couple of more features for vm-bhyve, specifically to, I think, metadata. So it was something like description equals something like that, with the idea being that you can, when you do VM list, you would get extra information like, hey, this is what the purpose of this machine is. It's useful when you have a lot of VMs and like you don't know what, F1 is. So it's not a bad idea to have that.
Yeah, it'd be nice to
Um,
marry that to like the like cloud init info. I mean,
yes.
just spitballing here, but like the host, make sure the host name's there, sort of like a jail
Yep.
output. I mean, it could be very similar to a jail output, I guess.
Yep. Yes.
That's great. That's really cool. Well,
Um,
since you brought up VNC, I was just curious. I think you mentioned guacamole, the front end, because I was thinking, VNC is not a secure protocol. I mean, all hypervisors use it for whatever reason, um, but yeah, it'd be nice to stick a layer on that. Like, and obviously, Sylve is a good option, and some other things. But for VNC, have you thought about, or do you have a particular way that you're dealing with like securing those, or you just do it at the sort of VLAN and SSH remote and stuff like that? I guess I do SSH
so
forwarding mostly.
kind of actually. So the easiest way we found for that was to bind the VNC on bhyve on localhost.
Right,
And then we have a jail on localhost, which uses, I think, inherit. Yes, it uses inherit. So it doesn't even have a separate thing of its own, right? A separate network IP of its own. It just inherits the network stack of the host. And then inside the jail, for complexity purposes, we install Guacamole or any other VNC system in that. And that one has proper authentication. I mean, it can even connect to LDAP and Active
right.
Directory and stuff like that, right? So it becomes kind
Nice.
of a host-only PAM for a machine that has, let's say, 10 plus VMs, and you want to see the VNCs or the UEFI stuff. It
Yeah, I
makes
had.
total sense to do that. That was the easiest way to do it, honestly, because we also did the other way around, which is like, hey, let's make it listen on the external interface and then do proper firewalling. And then you're like, okay, I really don't want to do firewalling on the host because the host is a high performance computing system. Now I'm losing
Mhm.
performance on firewalling. And then you're like,
Right.
okay, let's do it on the network layer. And then you realize, oh my God, okay, possibly what if the tenants start jumping in the network because of a
Yeah.
misconfiguration? So that was like the easiest way. Listen on localhost, guacamole in a jail. I've never ever said that in sentence before. Guacamole in a jail. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe in the Mexican prisons, people would be very happy with that. So, yeah, guacamole in a jail, and it seems to be a very good option.
Nice. Yeah, that's good. That's much more convenient than just VNC and SSH forwarding, because like, I don't know, the clients can be testy about it and stuff like that. So yeah, having something that you can get to in a jail that then has access to the console, that's, well, not as nice as Sylvie, but nice.
I'm trying to dig up a recent patch to like raw socket support or Unix socket support for the frame buffer. So maybe someone recalls that while I chase it down. So
Oh,
that was
nice.
just 2 months ago, maybe, or 1 month ago. And I guess I'm scrolling on the wrong screen here. Yeah, come on. I'm going through the source tree on the web slowly. While I chase that down, So has anyone seen a blog post on Cloud Init and vm-bhyve? Where does the configuration file go? They talk about it at length, but then they say, well, put it in like the on the target system's Etsy directory or something. It's like, well, if I'm
It
already in there, I
looks
can set everything I want. So I don't see the point.
it looks like you can do a lot of stuff on the command line though, which is really nice for automation because I have,
Yep.
because I make if I make an average of one Alpine VM a day, it's a small amount. I'm always spinning them up. So yeah, so if I could, so I mean, it looks like now I think I've been working in the Stone Age with just a key. You can specify IP, hostname, anything you want in the command line now. That's awesome.
Command line inside the VM or outside the VM?
In vm-bhyve
Oh,
or
okay. Well then, and what's its entry point into the VM itself to do stuff?
when creating it.
You
So
okay? Cool.
so on creation, you can specify a ton of this seems to be a pretty new feature. You can specify all kinds of wonderful stuff
I think
with
what
dash
happens
n,
is that it converts it to like either a floppy or a CD, and then
a CD.
there's an init thingy in the image itself, for example, in Alpine, and it's like, oh, there is a CD. Let me read the configuration. It's an
That
amazing way to
makes more
automate.
sense. Yes.
And when it was
Yeah.
new, it was an amazing way to do penetration testing on hypervisors. It's like, oh, I can take a whole infrastructure now. So, but it has gotten much better.
Got it. And because FreeBSD has things like makeFS to make a CD, that was attractive to me because you could automate the heck out of the entire process. So go team. Yay. I'm looking through the history and not seeing it, but I am seeing a bunch of you, like Hazel and Ed. And oh, Ed was on a previous one at the top level of the tree. Cool. So I've heard requests for vm-bhyve command line syntax in Sylve. Oh, Hazem, now that so much time has passed, have you thought about what a command line front end to your back end would look like? Yeah, napkin notes, ideas, etc.
Um, I actually built in some basic stuff just for, so that people don't get locked out. Kind of like OpenSense, I would say. So they can, delete some switches or delete some VMs that are misbehaving so that it doesn't mess up, other subsystems. So
Hmm.
that's there, but I'm not, since it takes a while to get everything done, like in that regard, because I have to kind of deduplicate work that I've already done on the web front end in some way. So I just did the bare minimum for now, and maybe later on people can add in more stuff. It's not that difficult because you can just reuse all the service functions that we already have.
So what inspired your command line syntax?
Um, I think
Yeah.
Cisco switches.
Okay, that's a perfectly
Yeah,
legitimate answer.
yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure if
Mostly
I'm
because
happy or sad, you know.
yeah,
It's like I know it, but I kind of don't want to know it, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
that's true of any syntax. So to whom it may concern, here is that but just to briefly get on the last topic, which may actually help you with Sylve, is here is that add Unix domain socket support to RFB.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it. I've actually tested it out, but I think it won't be in I think release for like the next 1 year or so. So I can't really use it now.
It should be in head, should be in 16.
Yeah, it's in there,
Yeah,
but
yeah. It
he's
works. It works great.
Just get somebody to MFC it to 15, and it'll be out in the next release.
Yeah, maybe.
and Hazem, you made a comment last week or even earlier this week that 16 is really nice for Sylve because it has features you're able to leverage. So I'm glad you're kind of uh,
It's mostly bug
proving
fixes
points
for
with
me
that.
more than
That's cool.
features because
Okay, cool.
yeah,
Bug fix.
especially around weird hosts. I mean weird guests like Windows or you know some stuff like that. But it's been pleasant on 16 so far. And I
Okay.
update like whenever, package update lets me. So I'm literally on the bleeding edge. And since package is so nice, I'm gonna, uh, keep hammering that nail because I really, really, really like package base. And um, I cannot tell you how many systems I've bricked with, you know, FreeBSD update somehow. And this is just nice. I still
So,
don't know how I can make jails with package base though, because I don't see much
Oh,
documentation regarding it or anything like
BSD
that.
install jail.
yep.
There's a subcommand called so BSD install jail when you give it the path of the jail. Now, the bad thing with it, which I just spoke about it with Kyle
It's on the other
Evans,
dock. Carl
if I
Evans, yeah.
remember, yes,
Kyle.
is that we need two new flags in there, dash dash non-interactive and dash dash components, and we agreed on how to do that. So I'll
Oh,
probably patch
excellent.
that over the weekend. Yeah.
What does
Uh,
components do?
Components, you choose the components. So let's say, a source, testing,
Oh,
lib32,
yeah,
and
of
other
course.
things.
Yeah, because it pops
And
up a little dialogue, and that does
yeah,
work. I've dropped in the dock
so
there, and yeah.
yeah,
Like, like
it does break the non-interactive. That one is like very important for like if you're
Yep.
doing jailer or other kind of things. Oh yeah, Haizam, I guess you can use that too in Sylve and
Oh yeah,
just
definitely. Yeah,
yeah. Instead of doing the package, sorry, the tarball fetching and extracting and all of that. Yeah.
So been the canonical way for decades, perhaps since day one, perhaps before there was a FreeBSD. I trust there have been discussions on, oh, we're going to remove that or keep that. And with the workflows relying on and other distribution sets, I don't know. Has anyone heard rumblings on the future of what the project will ship? Because let's not break everyone's workflows. Yes, package
what
base is awesome and it resolves like mismatches on kernel and other stuff. And wow.
my understanding is that 16.0 will only ship with package base. It will not have a base or kernel or the other tarballs. Though I suspect they're still going to have to ship source.txt, but that was my last understanding from the discussion about that is they intend to quit building those and shipping them.
You use the word build, but it's more just kind of like tar up for a few seconds, I'm guessing.
Well, there's a whole process of building a whole distribution tree in a target directory called dester.
Yep. Yep.
I don't know how much of that they're going to eliminate because
Okay.
with package base you don't have to build that big giant tree. You
This
can
is
just you can just stick the individual pieces that go into the package. So I believe dester and the ability to build that tree will remain for some time, but in theory that can go away too. Its primary purpose right now is to create the base.txt tarball.
True. Yep. Uh, Ed, have you received your package and do you have any insights on this topic?
So my package is UPS is now going to act as the customs broker, but that's going to take some time for them to figure out what that means and send an invoice. So my package may come some other time. On this topic, yeah, I think the expectation is that dist sets will eventually go away. I don't know that there is a commitment to when that's going to happen. I know there has been discussion of them not being available as of 16.0. My take is I would like them to stay for at least 16.0 for people who downstreams who use them in various ways, like to support um, uh, bespoke tooling and other sorts of approaches or things that people are doing with them. I wouldn't be surprised, and this is what I'm going to try and move towards if necessary, is that we can produce tooling to create the existing dist sets from package-based packages. Um, And so, the project could continue to build and release base.txz and source.txz um, uh, in the short term, and then in longer timescales, the project could just stop doing that, but the tooling would exist for anyone who wanted to plug it, who wanted to glue package base into their own tooling without having to rewrite anything. They could just use the tooling that's available. That's kind of my thought. But I am very much an advocate for us continuing to support existing use cases without having to rewrite a whole bunch of things sort of on a flag day, even if that is, with a slightly gross or hacky script and tool that converts package base to that.
I'll just say a file doesn't know how it got there and doesn't need to know, but package
Yeah.
will gladly tell you where something could or should be. And so, hey, yeah, we've got tools from both sides. So, okay,
Yeah, I mean, my
what's
my my goal would be that like we while the tooling exists in the tree right now to produce those disk sets, we produce this additional tool to do the conversion, and then we just compare the results, right? And so we can very very easily verify, yes, the same files exist in both when created either way, and use that as sort of the requirement for being able to retire the existing tooling.
cool? And I trust the vendors of the world, be it Juniper, NetApp, and all have their internal tooling that we might not have insights into. So I'm curious, what is the best venue for those discussions, be it the architecture list, be it BSD be it
As a previous vendor, I can say that's
Twitter,
true.
a previous vendor, Antranig, where would you turn to for discussions?
I mean, most of our questions when we were a vendor was on IRC,
Oh, okay.
interestingly. So there were some people who knew the internal knowledge very well. But interestingly, 90% of our questions were answered by dev and test kit.
Well,
Because
yeah.
we built things mostly on top of BSD config and BSD install, so we don't have to recompile every time, and that was very useful.
Thank you, Devin. Has anyone heard from Devin lately?
She's fine. We spoke.
Awesome. Great. Cool. Yeah, Devin helped me with my scripting extensively. Yes, Rod.
Ed might know. What's going to happen with the CI artifacts formats?
Which ones?
There's the CI builds that you can go in and you can pull the artifacts directory files. At one time I had tooling built that could do installs from the artifact. You could create a bhyve instance just by
Yeah.
pointing to a specific artifact number.
Yeah, great question. My guess is that we will start producing package-based sets from the CI build artifacts, and producing only them on a quicker timescale than any idea of removing release artifacts. And so, yeah, definitely, I would like us to have tooling to support the conversion if we're going to go that way in the nearer term to facilitate that. That's a good point. I hadn't really thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, I believe they're still being built with, I'm looking at one right now, but it's a October 2025 artifact. It's still built using base.txe and kernel.txe, etc. And so, I mean, when or who is the responsibility to convert the CI system to package base? And is there been any thought or plan about how that's going to be handled?
Yeah, great question.
Okay.
I'll check in with Lee Wen and see what's happening.
This isn't. Can I sort this by date? Yes. Okay. So, wow. Reverse that. Yeah, I'm looking here. I got one 26th February. Yeah, it's still building it that way. It's okay. So that hasn't changed.
Something Pola. Roman, welcome.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the, I'm just saying that, there's areas that I think the conversion to package base is much larger, has a much larger impact than a lot of people have thought through. Because I'm sure that the CI infrastructure underlying it builds old style disk sets and runs on old style disk sets, and all the artifacts are old style disk sets. So people that have been using those to debug or do bisecting are going to have to retool.
Or transparently use a tool that traverses the two.
To
So,
convert
okay.
them. But
Yeah, just so we have these
that's
topics
retooling.
out there. That's great. Thank you for addressing that. And just so we can all digest that in the back of our heads. Roman, do you have any news on libvirt and friends? Looks like you rolled in.
Oh, no, not really.
Cool. Do you still need access to the Ampere system?
I guess not. I'm happy with my Quartz 64 system.
All right, cool. Yes. Yeah.
So I realized I have a question from last week because I didn't join for obvious reasons.
Yes, sir.
1 second. Let me pull, because I made, I think, 1 or 2 patches on the bhyve userland application. Reviews.freebs.org. Lagged bhyve. There we go. And it should be this one. It's nothing interesting. It's something that we needed actually, which was the CPU pinning. Yes, the CPU
Yes,
pinning
indeed.
thing.
Oh, yeah.
2 questions. And is Ed still here? Because he might know the answer to my questions.
Yeah.
So Corvin K made an update on the syntax. I'm not sure if the syntax that he updated is correct, or am I dumb? Because I'm thinking that based on the syntax that he put in, let me actually copy the lines.
Sure,
That
plop
would
it
make
in there.
more
Just drop it in the
sense.
doc if you can.
Yeah, thank you.
I will format it.
Interestingly, the jails one is bookmarked for me, but not the bhyve one, which is very funny because that's the older one.
I'll put it in
Here's
chat
what
if you're
he
missing.
suggested.
Boom, in chat.
I'll put it in here and paste. Okay. So he said minus that plus that, right? So what I'm thinking is my syntax says that either you do -p host CPU vCPU or -p host CPU vCPU column host CPU vCPU, right? But this is the one that he suggested, the below line. But doesn't that mean that someone can do, if I'm not mistaken, -p vCPU and vCPU M column host CPU X without the Y? Or is my manfu not that good? Right?
So the way it's documented, yeah, it's suggesting that. So I haven't looked at the patch in detail that introduced this support. Now, I mean, is it suggesting that you can do vCPU N dash vCPU M? Like you either need to specify the dash part for both or not. I mean, I don't know that there's a great way in a man page to do that markup that says like you can have both of these optional parts or neither of them.
Which is why I did the first one, right? So like, hey, either you do 1 by 1 or you can do list by list.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, unless you're able to say, 0 to 3 maps to 4 and the to 7 is implied, I would
Ooh,
prefer.
that's a cool feature. I can implement that.
So if that's not the case, I would go with your syntax.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, I would agree with I think your syntax. I think
Okay.
it's more clear. Unless you want to add that that support as well.
Okay. And another one which got questioned by Mark J is libutil has CPU set parse list, which I didn't know about. First of all, I didn't know about this libutil. That's amazing.
Yeah.
CPU set parse list. Should I use it here or not? Because I don't know if there's what my question was, what if libutil is some kind of a non-base dependency that can be compiled out? This is the Dexter inside of me talking, right? And if someone did like libutil now, then suddenly bhyve doesn't compile because, or doesn't work because it relies on libutil. That was my question. Yes, I just remembered.
Yeah, so I think for FreeBSD components, libutil is a sufficiently standard library that we can rely on it.
Okay.
If there is a portability concern, then it may be
Oh, good
undesirable.
point, because I would love to have this also in Illumos. Okay, fair point. Yes. Yes. Okay, that makes sense. In that case, I will keep it as is. Mark has accepted it as is. He just asked if I could use libutil. Okay, I'll just talk with Corvin and ask him if he can accept this one with my syntax, and I think it can be merged. As far as I can tell, there are no other comments.
Do you have a link for libutil that we can
Yes.
run by Hans, who is a rather informed Illumos developer who might say, hey, either yes, that would break, or oh, we have an equivalent called this, or wow, maybe we want to bring that in because maybe it does apply. That's a stretch with me putting on my Dexter hat. Rim shot. Is it simply libutil manual page? Take a quick peek here. Let's see.
It's I think it's the CPU set manual page. No, sorry, that's the command. I'm sorry.
No worries.
I think it's the CPU set on section 2.
CPU set.
No, sorry. I should log into FreeBSD. Why am I doing this on my Mac? Okay.
You said it's libutil because apropos didn't find anything, and that's a very vague name. But yeah, go ahead and find whatever refers to whatever Mark suggested.
Yes,
Awesome. Yes. Yes, and Roman, you mentioned on chat that there is now NUMA support for the CPU setting. Actually, Antranig, has your patch been written with awareness of Boyan's NUMA code, and is there any chance it's not friendly with it?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. Sorry, I was looking for the manual.
Yes. We're multitasking here.
That's the next step because we do have NUMA aware systems. I'm planning on adding dash something like capital P, where you set the number of like a NUMA configuration that you would typically do in hyperscaler hypervisors. It'd be like, hey, I want these number of CPUs on these number of NUMA domains, and it should be able to calculate things for you because we have the topology somewhere in the system. I mean, you can read the topology in CTL something
Right.
spec topology, right? So that's the idea, is to have that. But for now, you do have to calculate it manually to be like, hey, numbers 65 to 68 are a single NUMA domain, but which you can figure out in a spec topology. But in an ideal world, I would be like, this is my next available CPU, go figure things out, right? But which brings me to the other part. In order for that to work, I would need to have a dump of the configuration of the existing bhyve VMs, which we don't have. Yes, like I should be able to be like, okay, let's see what bhyve VMs I have now, get their configuration, then find the next available CPU to do CPU pinning. Honestly, CPU pinning is amazing. I don't know if it's used or not on production on other people's systems, but we can't. like live our life without it anymore.
Oh,
Because
Hazem, I think he has some thoughts on that topic.
he does have the feature. I checked that. It's amazing. Yes, and with a very cute UI.
So thank you for posting that manual page. Here it is. And so
It is FreeBSD specific, yeah.
yeah, would it be, do you have a simple workaround and it's just sort of, gee, we can depend on it if we want? Or does this solve a big problem for you?
Well, if you're asking me, I would prefer to not use CPUs at parse list, so it would be more portable
Yeah,
because
great.
CPUs.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. That raises a bunch of topics I brought up, I think, Tuesday, not recorded. And Andranik, maybe you and I should have a chat about, hey, BSD install versus idempotence of, sysrc. And I discovered the hard way that sysrc, a glorified text editor, is platform dependent. It uses chroot such that if you are working on an ARM64 attached VM file system, it's like, oh, can't run chroot, sorry, whatever, which seems like a very weird requirement for a glorified text editor. So let's maybe have that conversation elsewhere prior to bringing it here, and unless people want to go there. But that's just me and a little research I've been doing this last few weeks and decades. Cool. Fine, I'll bring it up to be prepared if we do go there. But I'm not trying to wish that upon anyone. Other topics, ideas, questions. Hazem, what's new in Sylve land?
I just finished the Zelta integration like right before the call,
Oh, do tell. And
which
if you want to
is
give a demo, give a demo.
I think we can go for a demo. I hope it doesn't
Oh,
break.
I would not be against a demo. I will stop sharing while I look up that list of possible PRs.
Okay.
Yes.
So since Zelta works like most of the time over SSH or some command like that which you can pass through, we use SSH. We can specify the targets, and there's a nice little validate button here, so the SSH keywords and stuff like that.
Nice.
And then we have jobs here. So right now I'm backing up Rocky Linux VM and a simple data set. So if we just try running it now without the cron job, you can see that it's running, and then after a few seconds it should show success because the delta is not that much. Like the VM is stopped. And the cool thing is, I hope this demo works. If I delete the VM here, let's go ahead and delete it. Okay, that's gone. And if we go back to our jobs here, and then we can see that the VM is still there as a job because it's a cluster and all that data is replicated between all these nodes here. And then we restore. We can see that all these snapshots exist in the target. And then we can pick one of them, the latest one. Just click restore and wait for it to show back up. Let's see. Okay. So it's back here now. So the VM just flew to the target and then came back, all happening at the same time. So that's it. Looks very simple, but it took so much time to get this kind of right. And I'm very happy with it. Thank you to Daniel who wrote Zelta.
Who
his
dropped
work has
off a
been
minute
great.
ago. I'm trying to ping him to come on back.
Yeah.
So yes, thank you, Daniel. Where
Yeah.
are you?
He
There
would
he
be
is.
so
Okay.
proud.
Well, he just arrived. Daniel, we're doing a demo of Zelta in Sylve. Just saying. Just saying.
This is the most
So
exciting moment of my life.
Wow, see, I didn't want you to miss that.
so this okay, you know what? I'll just show it again because reasons. Let's just delete the VM again. So the VM is now gone. You know what? Let's try to do it here first in the same node, and then we'll try to do it on a different node, which exists in a different data center. That'll be fun to try out. So this is our little VM here. It's not much. It's just like what, a gigabyte or something. That's why it's restoring really, really fast. It is a Rocky Linux VM though. So we restore here, and then we can see it, coming back. So all these underneath are using Zelta, match, Zelta, backup, Zelta, rotate, Zelta, restore, whatever the commands are, it just, runs through that. And once we are here, we're back to Rocky here, and then we start the VM. We can see that it boots up. It's I hope my screen is still being shared.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I can
So
see
this
it.
is on heads now. My latency is not that great, but that is that. Let's see if I get serial fast enough. Yeah, I got serial. So that's that.
Sorry,
And
very short off topic.
mhm.
Since Ed is also here, he might know. Who's maintaining the website? Because I think we need a page of all of the VPS providers who support FreeBSD out of the box or via hacks like Hetzner, because Hetzner is like they don't support it officially, but you can boot in live CD and
The
I
Penguinator.
guess yeah, exactly. I'm guessing it's the docs team, right? It would be who maintains the website pages like that. Because I've been looking for the same thing also for Illumos, because no one officially supports Illumos.
Yeah,
But
it would be the docs team. I'm not
okay.
sure who specifically might be interested in taking that on, but it would be a useful thing to have. I agree.
Okay, thank you. I'll ping Zai.
Yes.
Okay, so another cool thing I wanted to show you guys was the Kemu guest agent that we talked like a few months ago about. So I wired that into
Ooh.
the thing so that now you can see what OS it's running, what network it has, things like that. The IP address, which is really cool because we don't have to, connect to serial or PNC to find that out. Especially useful for me because I work in these horrible networking conditions. And yeah, so this is really nice. And it works with FreeBSD as well. It works with anything that has Kemu guest agent, which is pretty much, everything under the sun. That's nice. So any questions? You know what? Let's try restoring this to a different node. That'll be a cool demo. And both of these nodes are nested virtualization. So not inside bhyve. One of them is running inside a Proxmox host. So booting the VM probably will not work because I still haven't figured out how to do nested virtualization on Proxmox. Let's see out of band restore, and then let's go to Lyra here. Virtual machines. Let's see. So all these snapshots, all these dates, and then let's just keep everything default. It's not restore network config because I don't know what happens. Let's see. Okay, so once that node is the events over here only show the events for this particular node. It won't show for the other one. So you kind of have to go to the other node right now. I'm trying to wire that in so that it doesn't feel weird like that. 20K, I think. And the interconnect between all these hosts right now is WireGuard. So that is not that great, but it works-ish. And since the VMs are pretty small, I don't think it should cause that big of an issue. But yeah, let's see what
Which branch is this version? Is this this isn't main on the
no, this
GitHub,
is
right?
cluster improvements right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so I think the node is back here. Let's see. Did I restore on the same node? I think I did. um, let's try deleting that again. Let me see, is it going to the right place? Maybe the selecting doesn't work over here. I don't know. Let's see now. Okay, so now it's here. I think I misclicked before. So we can view the progress of the move. So once the VM moves from there to here, then it just shows up on this host. So that's pretty much it. And we could build like a cold migration thing on top of this, because I would pretty much use the same subsystems so that I don't have to rewrite a lot of things. But yeah. And all of this works over Raft, so there's nothing ugly like CoroSync or anything running. And it's really, really fast, even over like very, very bad networks. Like one of these hosts, I think it is the one that I'm showing right now, is on like a 100 megabit line in Dubai, and the other one is in Germany. So now the Lyra instance is up and the Rocky machine is there, like magic. I'm really happy with this, and thanks to Daniel again. Any questions so far?
At this point, I'm thinking that I really need to write a converter from vm-bhyve to Sylve, because like whenever I'm leaving customers, they don't want me to leave because they're like, who's gonna maintain our console-only applications? And I can be like, here's Sylve for you, you know. So
Yeah, I was actually thinking the same thing. It wouldn't be too hard, I don't think, but that'd be really amazing.
Yeah, I think the base configs for vm-bhyve, right? Like they're not too difficult to map out. But I haven't looked at the cloud init stuff that they did, nor the UEFI thing that they did, because they support more than UEFI, right? They support like they support
Grub.
bhyve load, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah,
Grub
I've
too,
load and
yeah.
grub. Yeah,
And
both of
yeah.
them.
So that would be kind of tricky, I think. But there was this GitHub issue that asked me if I could support like other bootloaders, like bootloaders or UEFI boot
Well,
ROMs, and I really want
U-boot's
to
kind
do
of
that
important.
because yeah, U-boot is definitely going to be there, but that's ARM64, right? But
Right.
in AMD 64 land, I think the CSM support is important for some people. So I would make it like, configurable in some way. So that's that. Um, and Roman, I think a few months ago merged in a patch where you could, edit templates and stuff like that inside libwortxml, which is really cool because, I can use that instead of, monkey patching like bhyve command line arguments. So that's nice. And yeah, I think I'm pretty much done procrastinating by implementing new features into Sylve. So I could finish off documentation like today or tomorrow. And I would write up like a CFT document so you guys can test it out, properly, and then report back with bugs and things like that.
Amen.
So
Quick
so far,
question.
yeah,
While we've
yeah,
got you, you mentioned the CLI syntax. Is that something easy
yeah.
to show here?
CLI syntax. Let's
Yep.
see.
And I see you've used the word events. I wonder if that should be tasks or if there's some other synonyms that might be
Yeah,
clearer.
maybe.
Which also
Let's
plays into
see.
the whole localization thing with different languages. You may have different acronyms that make more or less sense to people. Yes, Yantunik.
You can still as much as you can from the FreeNAS terminology, because most of the people are going to be like, oh, I know what this is, because like they've
Familiar
used
is
that for
good.
20 years. Yeah.
Familiar is your friend. Okay, I see a Sylve command line. Hello.
That's
Oh
Yep.
my.
amazing.
Hello. Yes, please.
Let's see. I don't remember any of the syntax here. Help switches maybe. Switches help.
You described this as an emergency backdoor, or this is
Yes,
Not
it's
power
witches,
pretty
user
not
much
friendly.
witches.
emergency. Let's yeah. So I did this just because I remember like people getting stuck when they configure their networking wrong, because that's like
Oh yeah.
not that apparent. Yeah. And it would just die and they would have to reboot the VM, and if they have an RC script running, like the GUI is gonna try and make that switch again, and then it's a mess. So if they have KVM access, they could, come here, just type in switches RM, like manual, and then the name of the switch or the ID of the switch. They can just remove that switch here, so it doesn't cause too many issues. So that's that. And I didn't implement everything here. Like it's just very basic stuff, just so that people can, get moving to the UI. So that's that. But it's very, very
Amen.
simple to implement. If you want to extend this, it's really, really simple because you can just reuse whatever we're using on the web UI. Like you have to absolutely write nothing else except the words that you see on screen here. That's it.
So what language does one code that in?
Oh,
To
it's all Go. It's all Go. It's all
That's
a
all
single
Go. So
binary.
if,
Like
if someone
yeah,
wanted to
yeah.
jump in and has some Go awareness, they can maybe
Oh
give
yeah.
up when you mention call for testing and documentation, just have it please a simple developer napkin note on where one should look to
Oh
say,
yeah. We,
oh,
we we have a
I see
contributor
this on
guide
the
written
GUI. You
just
do.
for us
Awesome.
working like on it.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll just publish that
Yeah.
itself. I think
Yay.
that will
Okay.
be.
And on the bootloaders, that's a sort of parallel effort on, my gosh, I tried to build EDK2 for a board like, oh, Roman, that Quart 64, feel free to try building Jared McNeil's EDK2. I couldn't get it to work, but hey, so hopefully like Zelta, you can have these just sort of magically show up on a silver platter for you. So don't be a stranger. Uh, Syntax questions. That is fantastic news. I'll just say it. Well done. Any questions for Hazem? That's me. I'm going to share.
Do
Well,
you
I know
have
you want to
a
ship, but are there any features of Zelta you need next, or do you
No,
anything I
like
should prioritize?
it's perfect right now, and it's so simple that it's not gonna hurt us or anybody in the process because um having like a backup Bastion host is horrible. I just realized that this week, and a lot of people I showed this to, a lot of people who I work with who deal with Proxmox on a daily basis, really, really have started hating Proxmox backup server because they're like, why does this have to be something that we have to run? And a lot of those guys run PBS on the hypervisor itself, which is really funny to me. So when I showed them that you can just hook up like an SSH machine into this and then just start sending their backups, they're like, oh, nice.
To a
But
ZFS
then they asked
system
me
of
like, okay,
almost any kind. Eh? Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah, which they all run anyway, because I don't think anybody runs Proxmox without ZFS, like in real world, especially in India or the Middle East, because it's how they teach it apparently, like in many of these places, um,
Yeah, I mean,
and it's a good combo.
on the Middle East part, it's kind of
Take care,
fascinating
Andrew.
that they're jumping like to Proxmox very fast, but not because of their hate towards ESXi like I do, but more like apparently the young kids are using this now.
Ah,
That's one thing, and the second thing is that vendors in Dubai or anywhere in Middle East, as far as I've seen, it's all vendors who are dealing with everything that is related to any infra stuff. So it's horrible there because every IT manager or every IT person I've worked with has pretty much no idea about what they're dealing with. Like
yeah,
they
of
might have like
course.
huge clusters, and vendors are like, okay, you know what? We get Proxmox for free, so we're gonna deploy that every which way we can. And in some places it really works out, in some places it really doesn't because these vendors also don't have much idea about what's going on. So it's a free for all right now, especially like in the SME and
Yeah,
at least
definitely.
yeah
take care.
segment,
Eh?
yeah.
As far as we can tell, at least in Egypt and Dubai, it's a similar problem. Yeah.
Yep.
Heaven forbid the people at this table all address these issues. Excellent
Does
work, Hazem. That
does
is
anyone want to make
awesome.
money?
Absolutely not. No, I mean I do. And uh I want to very discreetly say, hey, BSD can broke even on paper yesterday, so I'm now able to further focus on these things. Anyway, any questions for Hazem? I want to put a few things up the collective flagpole and move on. Entrenig, that was music to my ears that you're looking at the unattended nsets for jail because yeah, it does work, but it's kind of missing the important parts to do automation.
And I really miss Lua. It's very cute.
Yeah, goodness. So Godspeed on that. I may have a bug in my code, or I found a bug in makefs. I will try and track that down. Uh, sysrc, and I've said this in talks, it like doesn't check for things. It just sort of like says, oh, set the host name, set the host name again, set it again and again and again, rather than saying, oh, do I have the correct host name and I should do absolutely nothing. So maybe some year that will be idempotent. It was an unpleasant surprise that Chroot and sysrc, a glorified text editor, fails when doing an ARM64 host under AMD64. Maybe I basically have to like re-implement sysrc in something that is like awk following Daniel's model or shell or whatever. So that was a surprise. And maybe there's a way to get around that. This was for Ed. I will probably do a PR on this. Gpart supports a -B offset, whereas make image and makefs do not. And for those like the Romans of the world on this call, yeah, if you're using a little embedded board that uses U-boot, you need like a 16 meg landing zone for all the U-boot bootloader stuff. You cannot do it with makefs. And if you could have those like Raspberry Pi type boards blasted out of release engineering effortlessly with root on ZFS and things like caching only metadata. So I've prototyped that, and I think I can make a case that, hey, with that one tiny, tiny little feature, life might be significantly easier. Download a VM image and you'll see a few 1970 date stamps. I documented them at like 3 in the morning, but it's like user and maybe home and all that. So there's a bug somewhere. You can't modify indexes on Gpart, but some OSs ship with like 1, 2, and 9 because they have 1, 2, and 9. Debian, I think, has an oddball. Yeah, partition resizing. Someone has a GSOC project to do GeoMan because it's an external tool that can do some of that. But wow, it'd be nice if Gpart can do some of that. EDK2, as I mentioned, good Lord, you sit down with your Raspberry Pi board and say, oh, here's a UEFI payload, or for like a honeycomb board, and then the vendor just runs away screaming and doesn't really want to help you build that. Early this morning, I started working
Michael,
with
just to interrupt you there,
BEADM. Yes, please.
if anybody wants some weird boards, like RISC-65 boards, RISC-65 boards, or ARM boards, nice little ARM boards, which has like 8 cores of CPU and a ton of memory and things like that, which has no support for FreeBSD. I would love to send you that. Just drop me like an email or like a message on Discord. I would happily send you guys that if
So-
anybody wants to work on it. Because I think Roman was able to get like UEFI working on Quad 64.
Yes, it's downloadable,
believe.
which is great, but building it is a whole different beast.
Yeah,
Do you have a
even
link to the
building it,
board
like,
model and CPU and all the goodies? Because yes, amen. That's,
yes, I do. Yeah,
and I
I'll
know you
just post
mentioned
in
it in the
chat.
recent call. So yeah, please put it there.
Yeah.
And because that's exactly the challenges we're facing. So let's face them. Well, I'm looking at BEADM, which it has some unique features like reroute, which I 3 a.m. tried like rerouting from 15 to 14, which is a very, very bad idea, but oh my gosh, it does some neat stuff. So there's some, if anything, lessons learned in there. And Baptiste confirmed this morning that no, you can't have package have like dash dash look, no space, look here for cache. So if I'm doing ARM64 and AMD64 on the same host, well, I don't want to pound the mirrors, and I don't want to always copy over my entire cache. So it'd be great if package could say, okay, look in these 3 places and then download. Maybe I'm crazy, don't know. But yeah, shoot a link, waiting on that before you disappear. So Antonik, these are kind of up your alley. If you want to have that discussion, if I'm crazy or not, let's have that conversation. But these are things I discovered while tinkering away.
Okay.
Banana
Yes.
Pie, thank you. Is that one? That's 2 links. That's 3 links. Good work, Hazel. I'll make sense of those. And yes, this is very much on my front of mind. And at the BSD pizza that Rod took off, missed last Thursday, I walked away with a rock pine board because somehow that's the way it worked out. So this has to be user friendly because this idea that your board might only have like a FreeBSD 12 image that did whatever at some point, or from the wiki, there's like, oh, the Rock Pro 64 briefly supported graphics, but no one knows who or when. It's like, well, that's not helpful. Yeah, no. You were saying, Antranig. I'm stepping
What
off
was
my
that?
soapbox.
We did migrate our prods to package base as of yesterday in
Ooh,
the
okay.
lab.
Yep.
Over New Year's, we moved to 15, and now we moved to package base. I don't know what the consequences are yet, but I will let you know.
Okay.
I do like the upgrade process, though. I'm going to be honest. Like just doing
Ooh.
PKG upgrade and getting the
Oh,
latest things
absolutely. But
is,
did you try
yeah.
package Baseify? Sorry to interrupt.
That's how what we did
That's
because
what you did.
we
Okay,
have
cool.
a large legacy system, right? So, well, I mean, legacy is a bit hard. I mean, it's just a couple of years old. So that was a lot of work there. We didn't talk much about Illumos today, but I'm having a existential crisis regarding maintaining my Illumos infrastructure or not. That being like the package mirror in Armenia and the package
Aha.
source mirrors, and I mean, I basically mirror everything Illumos to here because there's everything else is far away, unfortunately. And I don't know. We don't have Illumos calls, Illumos specific calls, so I can't ask there. And from a maintainership point of view, when you're looking at it, there's so much work to do at Illumos that I'm like, oh, I can do those things. And then when you look at FreeBSD, it's like, well, a lot of work has been done for my skill set. I can't like, do more work because the community is large enough that they've done that. Anyways, I'm just
Well,
ranting at this point. Sorry.
I have some recent news on that. So in my science project for the last few weeks, I did see that you can nuke the Illumos other partition at the end there, the 8 megs of like Solaris reserved. And then you can do, say, a growth such that you
Mm-hmm.
can grab with one command an Illumos image and expand it to 20 gig and start building, say, Brach, the ARM64 build of Illumos, and then try it under bhyve and watch it panic.
Mm-hmm.
So I have an open ticket on getting it to work under bhyve, which actually, Hans, I didn't think to even run it by you, but maybe you saw it in the ARM64 gate issues. But I don't know. Illumos is pretty darn important, such that I'm trying to make it easy to use and consume. And I have no idea if someone's trying to put it on, like, say, Clang LLVM. And I am a little surprised that the build process is like a 10-step process rather than like make thing, walk away and go make coffee. So yeah, I don't know. I saw that Matt Aarons from the call yesterday did a patch to say the encryption key handling in Luma, so that's kind of nice activity. So Antonik, don't feel too disappointed, but do make a list of what you want to advance within it, because I'm doing my little
Mm-hmm.
parts within it just to keep it friendly, keep it right there, keep VM images available, and just say, okay, if I want a Lumos in 3 minutes, here's how I do it. Heck, I can give a demo if you like. So anyway, there's some thoughts.
Thank you.
So don't be discouraged. But Hans, any thoughts on the philosophy of Illumos in 2026 and 2027?
Not exactly sure what you mean.
Oh, are you staying on that horse? I'm trusting yes, but I could be wrong.
Well, I'm trying to.
There you go. We all sounds like okay, three of us are trying to. Roman, don't know if you're doing say Liberate for Lumos, but yes, it's a thing and there is interest out there, and if people don't care, it will languish. So Andrew, who had to drop off, very much would like to have open ZFS on Illumos, despite the fact that from a bird's eye view, one assumes it's there, but it's not, and that's a different discussion. So anyway, Antonik, don't be discouraged, and let's have a conversation about that and this list of things, because it sounds like we're sounding like we're running down the same road. How was your capture the flag and or other event that you mentioned?
Amazing. First of
Oh, do
all,
tell. Yes.
right on time of asking that. We deployed PF as the firewall with the COS system being dominant, as well as FreeRadius, because we gave each team their own VLAN, and we deployed integrated rather radius with UEFI, Cisco, MikroTik. And we also did, for security purposes, we also did one IP per VLAN, so we would know exactly which team is going where when they're doing the attacks. Everything done on top of FreeBSD and the FreeBSD tooling, like, DHCP server and PF and Dominet and everything else. Interestingly, the hardest part to do in all of that was Cisco, because it had weird things when it came to radius that we had to figure out. Other than that, the building IT loved it. They even kept my old virtual machine in order to reuse it during their next competitions, because what they did before is like, network isolation on the LAN or the Wi-Fi, but they're like, oh, this is way better. So like the teams can share files with each other over the same VLAN. They don't jump over VLANs. There's Dominet for cost, so no one is using other people's bandwidth. The cost was very simple. It's like, okay, let's give 50 megabit a second per team. Setting up for FreeBSD was super easy. I mean, I basically automated it at the end with a bunch of shell scripts, which one of them generates DHCP, other one generates PF rules, another one generates the FreeRadius configuration. So it was as simple as that. I also did FreeRadius with Let's Encrypt, because I can do that. Apparently, I completely forgot. So
Is this documented
yeah,
somewhere in
all
a
of it is
language?
documented. Yeah, all of it is documented in English.
In English.
We are,
Do you have a link?
yeah. What happened is that the ISP removed the static IPs after the competition ended, because we had the deal for like 3 days.
Yeah.
So I kind of lost access to the VM itself.
Okay.
But anyways, I am going back there tomorrow to shut down the rest of the network. I'll get access to the docs and all of the configs and samples and shell scripts, and I'll post them on the blog. I think it's a very neat setup for anyone who wants to do a competition.
Very cool, and it sounds a bit like the Croatian project, Immunes, was it, where they blast out a prototype network? So maybe there's some
Yes.
opportunities there.
Yeah, I think like if someone has, here's one problem I had, which I think I don't know how to test. Um, Assuming that FreeBSD can be used in a switch, assuming that
Yeah.
FreeBSD can be used as a switch. If someone has a PC with, I don't know, 48 ports somehow, how would we have radius support on IFBridge or Netgraph or whatever the bridge management or the bridge interface that we're using on these ports, right? Because we can act as a client for radius, right? But how can we be like the acceptor if I don't know what the terminology is. Sorry, I'm not that good in networking. Right?
No.
You
So is
know, you know,
radius used as the kind of acceptor or control
like
plane, or
can
what?
we use radius on Netgraph or IFBridge, right? So
Okay.
like when you connect to my machine, which let's assume that my machine is a switch, I would authenticate you on a port, similar to how Cisco does it, similar to how Bikrotik does it, similar how to UEFI switches do it, and any other switch vendor, right? So we know the server part with FreeRadius, that was easy peasy, right? We know the client part, that's with WPA supplicant over Wi-Fi or over wired, both of them use that. But what if I'm the middle thing? What if I'm the switch? Is that even doable at all? So yeah, that was my question. Yeah, anyways.
Step one
It's
is vocalizing it.
yeah.
At which point Hans says, "Oh, yeah, in Crossbow, it's just like one simple command and you're done." Ha.
Actually, let me check.
Oh yeah, you're familiar with Crossbow a lot more than I am.
I love Crossbow, yes.
So yeah. So to answer your question on Olimos, yes, Crossbow. What was the question? Anyway.
Type? No, it's not that. Radio, no clue. I'll think of that. Anyway.
Okay.
Thank you, Dexter.
Yes,
This was
please.
fun.
Would you like the honors?
Oh, of course, absolutely. Please help our channel by donating to the BSD Fund at bsdfund.org. Please like and subscribe. See you next week.
Thank you, Antonig, and thank you, Hans.